Oscar the Grouch is a Muppet character on the television program Sesame Street. He has a green body, has no visible nose, and lives in a trash can. His favorite thing in life is trash, as evidenced by the song I Love Trash. A running theme is his compulsive hoarding of seemingly useless items. The Grouch aptly describes his misanthropic interaction with the other characters, but also refers to his species. His birthday, as noted by Sesame Workshop, is on June 1. The character is performed by Caroll Spinney, and has been performed by him since the show's first episode. Origins. Initially, the Muppet characters on Sesame Street would not actually appear on Sesame Street itself, but be relegated to the intermediary segments. Muppets creator Jim Henson wanted them to be integrated into the series, suggesting a giant bird and creature living in the neighborhood's trash can. The character was developed by Sesame Street head writer John Stone and Henson, based on the personality of A magnificently rude waiter. Based on the character outline, puppeteer Caroll Spinney was inspired by the voice of a New York City taxi driver, hailed when going to the production studio. When he first got in, the driver asked him, "Where to, Mac?" and spoke with Spinney about the mayor of New York at the time. His name's sources of some debate. Most sources suggest it's derived from the name of the aforementioned restaurant, Oscar's Tavern. In recent years, however, the family of Canadian folk musician Oscar Brand has suggested he was the namesake. Brand was an early board member for the show's non-profit production company, Children's Television Workshop. The claim has been made in an interview with the CBC around the time of Brand's 90th birthday, and by his son in the interview segment of Jeopardy! Named a Oscar the Grouch writers would eventually add other Grouches, an entire species explored in the film The Adventures of Elmo in Grouchland and various television episodes. The initial puppet, built by staff builder John Lavelady, was orange with a single dark-colored eyebrow. Spinney's other lead character is Big Bird, whom Oscar often describes to children as his friend during public appearances. He especially likes to prank him every morning by putting ketchup in his alarm clock. When Big Bird and Oscar are required in a scene together, Jim Martin often operates Oscar to a vocal track by Spinney so the latter can perform Big Bird. However, occasionally, Matt Vogel will instead operate the Big Bird puppet to a vocal track by Spinney, while he performs Oscar. During the first season of Sesame Street, the street set was arranged such that Spinney, who is right-handed, was forced to operate Oscar's head with his left hand. A subsequent redesign of the set allowed him to switch hands. In the first season of Sesame Street, Oscar was orange, and later became green in Season 2. According to Sesame Street's Robert W. Morrow, Oscar was created to indirectly demonstrate racial and ethnic diversity. Since his manners and tastes were different from those of the other characters, his creators hoped to address social issues by using his differences as a metaphor for racial and ethnic differences. Some viewers, however, saw Oscar as a surrogate for poor, urban Americans during the show's early seasons. Attributes. Oscar can also become mobile with the help of his friend Bruno the Trash Man, who carries Oscar around in his trash can. Bruno is a full-body costume which allows Oscar's puppeteer to manipulate Oscar while remaining hidden by the Bruno costume. Also, as seen in the Elmo's World episode Dance, Oscar's legs can protrude from the bottom of his trash can to allow him to walk around. Similarly, in Christmas Eve on Sesame Street, Oscar is seen ice skating. For several seasons, Oscar was frequently shown with his friend and pet Slimy, an orange worm. On occasional episodes he is mentioned leaving Sesame Street to attend the annual Grouch convention in Syracuse, New York. Oscar openly admits that he does not like anything or anybody that is nice, except young human children as well as older fans of the show. However, the only person he has ever liked on camera was Maria, which he would never admit. He once inadvertently complimented a dance that his followers, the Grouchketeers, had performed for him. Oscar has shown rare acts of kindness such as trying to replace Ernie's rubber ducky when Ernie had lost it. He also went out to find the missing Big Bird in Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. He and his girlfriend Grangetta also love each other, though their relationship is somewhat rocky. As stated above, he is usually very nice to children, especially when making public appearances with Spinney. According to a recent episode, Oscar hates Fox News, but his mother likes it. Oscar tries to keep his Canadian identity secret, but admitted that he is Canadian due to his parents being from Canada. He was born in Minto, New Brunswick, with his father having been born on Parkhurst Drive, New Brunswick, and his mother having grown up in Nova Scotia. His favorite dessert is spinach sardine chocolate fudge sundaes. His second favorite dessert is mashed bananas with ice cubes and cold beef gravy. In Oscar's trash can, while appearing to be the size of a normal trash can, Oscar's residence is actually bigger on the inside than the exterior would suggest, notably revealed in the film The Adventures of Elmo in Grouchland. Oscar has noted through the years that it boasts such amenities as a farm, swimming pool, ice rink, bowling alley, and a piano. Oscar could occasionally be seen rotating while descending into his trash can, implying a spiral staircase. Other items include Slimy, Oscar's pet worm; Fluffy, Oscar's pet elephant; Oscar's shoes; and a dimension gate to Grouchland, USA, Oscar's hometown. It also contains, most likely, boatloads of trash. International. While Oscar receives new names and international dubs, Sesame Street International co-productions have often created their own version of the character. In their second season, Germany's Sesamstrasse created an antagonistic character named Uli von Bar-Paragraph-Feld. While not a Grouch, he served the same role in plots as Oscar. When a fire destroyed the costume in 1988, a decade after he debuted, he and American segments of Oscar were both replaced by a Grouch named Rumpel. Caterpillar Gustav is the counterpoint to Slimy. Israeli Grouch, Moy Shufnik, Oscar's cousin, is the only character to survive the first Rich of Sum Sum, appearing in its current reboot, English-Hebrew series Shalom Sesame, and Israeli-Palestinian co-production Rich of Sum Sum Sharei Sim Sim. Other Grouches include Bodak on Mexico's Plaza Zar copyright Samo, Gugu on Brazil's Vila Sesamo, Car plus or minus RPA plus or minus K on Turkey's Sesam Soca plus or minus, Farapando on Portugal's Rua Zar copyright Samo, and Coalcadusa on India's Gali Gali Sim Sim. Filipino adaptation Sesame. Featured Coco Matsing, basically a gorilla. Some Grouches differ from the mostly antagonistic mold. France's one, Ruzar copyright same featured Mordecus, who lives in a trash can, and is slightly cynical, but is also described as lively and enthusiastic, and participated in the neighborhood band. In Pakistan, he is named Orktar and lives in a rusty oil barrel. Appearances in other media: a hybrid of Oscar the Grouch, Ernie, and the Cookie Monster appears in the Goodies episode The Goodies Rule, OK, where it attacked Tim Brooke Taylor whilst in a bin, only for Tim to eat it. Oscar made what he called a very brief cameo in the 1981 Jim Henson movie The Great Muppet Caper. When Miss Piggy threw a truck driver into a pile of boxes and a pile of trash cans, Oscar emerged from his trash can and demanded, "Hey, what's all the racket?" The driver asked him, "What are you doing here?" Oscar replied, "A very brief cameo." The driver muttered, "Me too." Oscar also appeared in the Jim Henson Holiday Special, A Muppet Family Christmas, when the Sesame Street gang comes to the Grizzly farmhouse for the holidays. In the film he befriends Rizzo the rat, who asks the Grouch if he could stay in his trash can for the night. Oscar agreed, saying that he'd never had a rat in his trash can before. Oscar could be seen among many villains in the South Park episode Imagination Land 3. Oscar was on an episode of Scrubs, imagined as the new chief of medicine. Oscar was one of numerous PBS personalities chasing after Homer for not being able to pay a pledge in a Simpsons Season 11 episode, Missionary, Impossible. Oscar crashes through the window of the church Homer is hiding in, and demands the money, while Elmo, who was hiding in the trash can with him, tells Homer he knows where he lives. He also appeared in Trash of the Titans. Oscar inspired an Apple Macintosh INIT written by Eric B. Shapiro and shown at the 1989 Matchak conference, featuring a singing animated Oscar that appeared from the trash can when the trash was emptied. The hack was so popular that some parents lost the entire contents of their hard disks to preschoolers wanting to see more of Oscar, prompting Shapiro to create a standalone application using the same animation and sounds. The software was discontinued after Children's Television Workshop sent Shapiro a cease and desist letter. Oscar first appeared on the January 11, 2008 episode of the television game show 1 vs. 100 as a member of the mob. He was eliminated on both games, but was so popular he continued to appear for the remainder of the season as a regular member of the mob until the program's cancellation, but didn't win much money. Oscar has made appearances on Canadian public broadcasting advertising Childhood Diabetes Awareness Days at the Montreal Canadiens hockey games. The Fumetti comic Twisted Toy Fair Theatre once featured Oscar in an issue in which he sings a variation of his I Love Trash song about Wesley Snipes movies. In the end, Wesley Snipes decapitates him. Oscar was adopted as the mascot for Waste Reduction Week in Canada, an environmental campaign that took place October 19, 25, 2008. In an episode of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, an Oscar-like character emerges from a dustbin and instructs the viewer that it's not cool to play with scythes and instructs viewers to tell an adult immediately if they find one. In Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian, Oscar has an appearance with Darth Vader, trying to become part of Kamon-Ra's team, only to be discovered that he's not evil, just vaguely grouchy. The Oscar puppet that was used in filming is on display at the Smithsonian National Museum of American History. On May 29, 2009, Oscar the Grouch appeared in an ABC television special on economics called Unbroke, What You Need to Know About Money. He appeared showing the viewers what investing stocks means. It's shown that he has investment filings with Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, and Washington Mutual even though they are bankrupt companies, but he then says that they're not really his filings. The press kit for the special reveals that Oscar was popular with the crew for the special even during filming. On October 11, 2009, Oscar appeared on the CBC Radio 1 show Q, hosted by Jean Ameshi. Beyond talking about his time on Sesame Street, his love for trash and recycling, Oscar revealed that his father is actually from St. David, New Brunswick, and his mother grew up in Nova Scotia, thus making him of Canadian descent. He further went on to suggest that he had cheated on Granjetta, his longtime girlfriend. On November 12, 2009, Oscar appeared on CNN to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Sesame Street. In an interview with Anderson Cooper, Oscar reveals that he would still be orange if he bathed. His green exterior is apparently moss. On an episode of Cake Boss, Buddy and his bakers visited Sesame Street, and Danny could be seen inside Oscar's trash can. He tries his best Oscar impression by saying "I live in the trash." Oscar can also be seen at the end when Buddy reveals his cake, but then goes back in his trash can. Probably to get away from the laughing and cheering. Oscar also made appearances in episodes of the Cartoon Network show MAD. References